All right, this is a request from Kevin, who is at the super ambassador tier level, the highest tier level, where I'm offering once a month to have the option to listen to and do a reaction to a song. He asked for a comparison of two songs, which I'm going to go for this time. But if I do keep this tier open, and I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it open moving forward, I'm pretty busy with reacting and now with the business and everything. It's a lot to keep going. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to honor that moving forward. But if I do, it's definitely going to be one song moving forward instead of doing two. But I'm happy to do some comparing and contrasting here today for you all. So Lara Fabian and Barbra Streisand we're going to be listening to today. And here's a cool thing. Barbra Streisand, Lara Fabian as an influence on her. She considers her an influence and got Barbra Streisand's blessing to do a cover of this beautiful medley from YENTL, which is a beautiful story. So here we go. Let's jump right in. I'm going to start off first with listening to some Barbra Streisand. And then we'll stop at some point, and then I'll go over and listen to Lara, and we will compare and go from there, okay? So here we go. This is Barbra Streisand, live 1994, the YENTL medley. Okay, here we go. So look up the story of YENTL. You know, it's a beautiful story about a Jewish girl whose father is teaching her the faith, and then, women weren't allowed to study it, and then she secretly, after he dies, she continues to study, and it's a beautiful story. I mean, kind of a relevant with all the stuff going on in the world now. It's interesting how still poignant the story is, right? Okay, here we go. Barbra Streisand.
Papa, can you hear me?
Oh.
Papa, can you see me? Papa, can you find me in the night?
Lateral
Papa, are
vowel.
you near me? Papa, can you hear me? Papa, can you help me not be frightened?
Ooh.
Looking at the skies, I seem to see a million eyes. Which ones are yours?
Is that vibrato?
Where are you now that yesterday has waved goodbye and closed its doors? The night is so much darker. The wind is so much colder. The world I see is so much bigger now that I'm alone. Papa, please forgive me. Try to understand me. Papa, don't you know I had no choice? Can you hear me praying anything I'm saying? Even though the night is filled with voices, I remember everything you taught me, every book I've ever read.
See her release her jaw?
Can all the words and all the books help me to face what lies ahead? The trees are so much taller.
Oh.
I feel so much smaller. The moon is twice as lonely and the stars are half as bright.
Let's stop here. Okay, let's stop here, and then we'll go over and check out Lara up to this point. Oh my God, I haven't heard this before, at least to my memory. It may have come up in a lesson here or there we've brought up, but I haven't really sat down and studied her singing in it. Oh, so her vocal technique is incredible. It's interesting thinking about her in relation to Lara's technique, knowing it from a couple of the reactions I've already done. Very similar coordination. They both sing in a contemporary commercial music way, meaning that their larynx elevates for high notes, yo, and goes down for low notes, as opposed to a classical singer, oh, you keep it open, like yawning hollow space in the back of your throat the whole time when you sing opera. And neither of them are using that vocal technique. Everything that they're doing here is very much in a contemporary way. Not a lot of grit so far from Barbra. She had a couple moments where she did a little creaky door sound at the start of a phrase, but she never was like squeezing through a phrase at all for like, creating that edginess on the voice. That's not a part of her that's not a spice she cooks with in her singing tone quality, if you know what I mean. Very light, introspective. She's so relaxed. And then she's getting into the brass when she goes belting, opening up lateral, or making her vowels lateral and open. Same way that Lara does as well. Very, very good technique. Okay, let's flip over now and check out how Lara starts this. Okay, I think does she start right off in the beginning? Yep, okay. This is a different start. So that's called a sequence. If it kept going, a sequence is you get a pattern of going something like down 3, up 2, down 3, up 2. It's a pattern that keeps repeating in music, and it's really cool. Whenever you hear someone do riffs or runs, it's basically, in the musical terms, called a sequence.
Oh, God.
These two together, my goodness.
May the light of this flickering candle illuminate the night, the way your spirit illuminates my soul.
I wonder how similar this is going to be. Very different opening so far.
Can you hear me? Papa, can you see me?
A little more sustained.
Papa, can you find me in the night? Papa, are you near me? Papa, can you see me? Papa, can you help me not be frightened? Looking at the skies, I seem to see a million eyes. Which ones are
Wow.
yours? Where are you now that yesterday has waved goodbye and closed its doors?
Interesting.
The night is so much darker, the wind is so much colder, the world I see is so much bigger now that I'm alone.
Very similar so far. I mean, so many of the vocal paintbrushes that Barbra is using, Lara is using as well. So many. It's very interesting, though. Barbra was a little bit more, Papa, can you hear me? Like a little more conversational and not everything with such clean legato and connectedness. Lara's is much more connected. There's much more... it's more like singing as opposed to like speaking in a musical or a sort of musical-esque theater work. It's a little different that way. She's singing it a little bit more. Still equally as expressive and emotional. Just a little different approach to it so far.
Papa, please forgive me.
Now she's speaking more.
Papa, don't you know I had no choice? Can you hear me praying? Anything I'm saying?
Very emotional.
Even though the night is filled with voices, I remember everything you taught me, every book I've ever read.
See about same as Barbra.
They are the books and all the words help me to face what lies ahead. The trees are so much taller, and I feel so much smaller.
Look at her head position right here. Look at how tilted back she is. The only way you can sing with that type of a head posture is if you're doing that more contemporary type of vocal sound, because your larynx is way up, and it's really good for belting. I mean, she's looking up a lot here, and that head position is really good. Whoa! when you're doing belty notes, notice a lot of times she'll tilt her head back to access those upper register notes. She's doing this more in an expressive way, like, Papa or God, that type of a thing. But it supports the vocal tone she's going for here, too.
The moon is twice as lonely and the stars
Then mixing.
half as bright.
So she was super brassy and big on the high notes, and then she pulled her voice back into her mix, into a very intimate mix. The dynamic range of these two so far is unbelievable. Both of them super intimate, super soft, and then big and brassy. Oh, really good. Wait, was this a spot where I was supposed to go back to Barbra?
Or half as bright. Papa, how I love you.
Yeah, I think I need to go over to the other one now. Okay. Okay, back to Barbra. Here we go.
How I love you.
Are we in the same key? Hold on a second here. I love you.
How I love you.
Oh, Laura's higher. Oh, I love you. I think Barbra was a little lower. Interesting. Yep.
How I love you.
She's down like maybe a whole step, half step. That doesn't matter. All right, let me go back and focus on her singing now. Wow, this is amazing.
Papa, how I need you. Papa, how I miss you. Kissing me.
Notice Barbra is a little. She's pulling us in more. It's more of an introspective journey, and with Lara, there's more outward energy. There's more physical manifestation of the expression in her body. At least so far. I mean, we still have a ways to go here, but interesting, right?
Good night.
So Laura can do that too. Lara can do that too. Sorry, I'm trying to not say it so American. When I think about Barbra Streisand in my teaching, when I teach her, one of the things that I talk about with her is her ability to do stuff like that. Like forever she does that. It's hard to hold it with the mix because you run out of air. But she had lots of chord closure, zipped up, beautiful. And she can crescendo. She can go from that sound into a brassy belt without any flips or blips in there. Talk about 10,000 hours. Yeah, everybody's like, "Do you guys hear that?" Was this the natural break in the song there, or are they just clapping because of the way she sang that note? I think it's the note, isn't it? Or no, maybe that's the end, because normally in a medley you don't clap in the middle of the medley. I don't know.
That song touches everyone, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Somehow.
okay, so it is the end of the song then.
To go on with the story, YENTL then meets a boy who she falls in love with. But it turns out he's already in love with another girl. But because of circumstances that I can't go into right now, they're prevented from getting married. So, to make a long story short, or a short story long, he asks YENTL, who of course he thinks is a boy, to marry the girl, so he can still see her. Not YENTL, the other girl. So the girl and the girl get married. Now, if you want to see how YENTL gets away with the wedding night, you have to rent the video. But it's just a variation on the boy meets girl story. Very 90s. Anyway.
I don't know, that might be 2025 today too, though.
I just came from New York, you know, the gay games and everything. Anyway, one night he comes over to their house to study, but it's clear that the only thing he wants to study is her. Not YENTL, her wife, her. You get it? His eyes never leave her face.
See the way they gaze at her like slaves. They follow every where she goes. Do my eyes forget themselves, and do I ever look at him and smile in such a way that what I'm feeling shows?
This is Barbra in her element.
Sometimes I get the feeling everybody knows.
So this sound she has right here, this is what I commonly call a 50-50 mix. You can clearly hear the brassiness, the metallic element in her sound, but you can also hear the wind element too. They're almost equally represented 50-50 in this tone here. Bop, bop, bop. Ah, bop, 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 bop. That's kind of a little bit brassy, but a little bit windy. That concept. Barbra and Lara, for that matter, are masters of that middle ground.
And even though it's
So listen for the changes in her tone quality of when she's, when that needle goes a little more on the brassier side of her tone, and when that needle comes more over to the windy side of her tone. Just listen for those little changes. The more intense she gets, the more brassy it gets. The more introspective and light she gets, the more windy the tone gets.
crazy, still I can't help wondering if I'll ever live to see that day.
See? Brassy. Metal.
When
Oh, she pulled it back.
by some
More wind.
miracle of miracles, he'll turn
So hear that? So she went from like 50-50 mix where I was talking about it before. Then she went over to like a 90-10 mix, brassy. And now we're over it in like a 30-70 head to brass, or 70-30 heady, light, windy mechanism to brassy mechanism there, right? So good.
and look at me that way.
Hear her vibrato?
Oh, tell me
Yep.
where.
She puts off her vibrato for excitement. That type of stuff like no other. Well, Lara does that really well too.
Where is the someone who will turn to look at me and want to share my every sweet imagined possibility?
So expressive.
The more I live,
Hear that wind more?
the more I learn.
More airflow in her tone.
The more I realize, the less I know.
There's that belt.
Each step I take, each step I take,
Wow.
each page I turn, each page I turn. While I travel, only meet the more I have to go. What's wrong with wanting more?
Wow, this is cool.
Can fly and soar. With all there is, why settle for?
Straight tone to vibrato.
Just a piece of sky.
Wow.
I can hear you, Papa. I can see
This is
you.
cool.
Papa, I can feel you. Papa, watch me fly. Papa, watch me
Oh my God. Wow. Wow. That was amazing. Holy cow. So it sounded like the high note was her from the movie, and then she harmonized lower.
you. Papa, I can see you. Watch me fly.
That note is in the movie. And then she's da, da, da. So she's down on the fifth below. What I love is the straight tone to vibrato. It's so hard to do that. Like, I think about the Whitney Houston "I Will Always Love You" as like the case study in that. And what does that give us musically as an effect? When you do straight tone to vibrato, it gives us a tension release feeling in the singing. And right? Tension release. That putting off your vibrato and being able to have it come in that way is such a high level coordination. You know, because I spend most of my days teaching people coordinations on how to sing, and I can tell you, it is so hard to do that because it requires you to really kind of almost clamp down on your chords to some degree to sing straight tone, to put off vibrato. Vibrato is a natural occurring thing inside of the voice. It happens when the voice is in a balanced state of freedom and energy. And to put off vibrato, once you have your vibrato awakened in your voice, it takes a lot of technique and coordination, and then to be able to turn it off and turn it on at will in the same holding of a note, super high level coordination. Was this just applause and stuff after, I'm assuming? Yeah, it looks like, yeah, people are just clapping forever. Wait, she didn't.
But
Okay, it did go on, but all right, let's finish this out with Lara. Great, here we go.
Papa, how I need you.
Let me go back a little bit to get this next section here.
How I love
So this is just the end of this one here.
Papa, how I need you. Papa.
See, she's being much more physical in the way she's expressing. She's allowing it into her body more. And that I don't want you to misinterpret that as being like, you know, it's not real or anything. You can have real expression in a very small, intimate way, like in an indie film. And then you can have very real expression on an opera stage or in front of 10,000 people. You may need to, when you're in front of the big groups of people, modulate your energy so there's more enhancement to the emotions you're feeling, meaning that your face maybe animates a bit more. If your hand was going out here, it maybe goes out here now. It gets a little bigger because of the context of the performing environment. As a great singer, you need to be able to modulate your energy depending on the context that you're in. And Lara here is choosing more expressive energy in her body. You can notice that relative to Barbra. It's not a matter of right and wrong. This is just a difference in the way they're choosing to realize this amazing medley.
I miss you, kissing me. Good night.
Wow. There are very few singers in the world that can cover Barbra Streisand in a way that they are actually doing the vocal coordinations and using the palette of vocal sounds that she uses, because they're so hard to do. Lara Fabian is one of them that can do that.
It all began the day I found that from my window I could only see a piece of sky.
Has she ever done any theater, like actual shows before, like musicals or anything? She would be amazing, and I can think about a million shows it would be fun to see her perform.
I stepped outside, looked around.
Jekyll and Hyde.
I never dreamed.
She would be amazing in Jekyll and Hyde. What's the character's name that sings, I peer through windows, watch life go by? What is that? Oh my God. Well, Jekyll and Hyde, the female lead in Jekyll and Hyde, she would be amazing in that. There's so many shows I could think about she would be incredible in. She's probably done them. I just don't know enough about her background.
It was so wide, or even half as high. The time had come. Papa, can you hear me? Try my wings. Can you understand me? And even though I knew at any moment I could fall, I fell to the most.
Look at how much she's moving
Papa,
around.
Can you see me? Amazing things can
is she singing like this, walking around in heels? How is she doing this?
Imagine if you've never flown at all, though it's safer to stay on the ground. Sometimes we're dead to rise, they're the sweetest of pleasures are found.
Wow.
No matter where I go, there'll be
This is different than
memories kept in
Barbra's.
my sleeve. But they were all so big, more to question, yet more to believe. So tell me where is that someone who will turn to look
Oh,
at me
beautiful.
and to want to share
Is she connected?
my every sweet imagined possibility? The more I live, yes, the more I learn. The more I learn, the more I realize. The less I know, each step I take. Papa, of a voice now, each page I turn. Papa, of a choice now, it's my life travel.
Wow.
Means the more I have to go. What's wrong with the wanting more? If you can have love and soul,
Wow.
there is, why settle for
Notice that mouth space.
just a piece of sky? Papa, I
Wow.
can see you.
Oh my God! Did you hear the top? I mean, the precision of this part here. Wow.
Just a piece of sky.
So notice how right there, look at the space between the top of her tongue and the roof of her mouth. So masterful. Like, that's the secret to being able to belt like that is if your tongue gets too close to the roof of your mouth, it starts to push you into more of a head, like a windy light mechanism mix. To do that type of a sound, that sort of trumpety, brassy, belted high, you've got to have perfect, oral cavity configuration and perfect technique.
Piece of sky. Papa, I
Wow.
can see you.
So much more dramatic physically.
I can feel you. Papa, I can hear you. Papa, watch me fly.
Look at that. You can see right. Is she going to do vibrato? I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell if, because her vibrato is kind of tight in the same way that Barbra Streisand is, meaning that like opera singers have a very wide pitch variation in their vibrato. Oh, it's much wigglier in pitch. Barbra Streisand, Lara Fabian, and most contemporary commercial music singers, their vibrato wiggles in a much smaller amount. And part of that is because there's much more muscular activity keeping the larynx in place and the tongue in place and the jaw in place for contemporary singers versus classical singers. Classical singers have more wiggle in their throat because of the nature of the looseness of everything in there. So it's interesting. I couldn't quite tell with all the sound happening around. I kind of want to extract her vocal out to see if I can notice vibrato on that note, but I don't think we're not going to go there today. Let me listen to that again.
Watch me fly.
I think at that last chord, maybe it comes in a little bit there, but then she falls off of the note. She kind of comes off of it at the end expressively as she crouches down. Wow. That was amazing. She was amazing there. So she gave so much in that. Like, it did feel like, she was like, okay, if I'm going to sing a Barbra Streisand song, I'm going to give it everything. And I mean, that's what she did here. The expression that she had was big. It was amplified, right? Her physicality, her moving around the stage, the size of her facial expressions and the way she performed it. That was how she chose to perform it here. Barbra Streisand, it was a little more intimate, a little bit more introspective. Very similar vocal coordinations as far as we've got movable larynx position. That's the coordination they both were using, which just means the larynx elevates for high notes, and it goes down for low notes. They both were doing that. They both had lots of moments where it got windy and intimate, and then moments where it got bigger and brassier. I would say Lara stayed bigger and brassier for longer amounts of it than Barbra did, but they both got big. They both, as they went higher, did the head tilt. They opened their mouths in a way that kept the belt happening the way it was. I was hearing, I think, a little more straight tone to vibrato use in Barbra's singing, but there was some of it in Lara's as well here. Wow, such beautiful. It really was different, but similar, right? And I would say the biggest thing really is just the size of emotion that they both chose to convey this with. Very cool. And listen, if you're a fan of Lara, I would love to know some musicals that she's performed if she's been in straight up live shows before. I think that would be really cool to see her acting, because she's really going for it here, expressively acting. She's really in it, and it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Wow, that was fun to check out. What did you all think of that? Did you enjoy that? Did you like comparing those two? Were there any spots when you were listening where you felt that you really connected to something intimately from the performers in these performances? If so, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you all on this. This was absolutely magical. I could keep deep diving. Like, we really could do phrase by phrase, like, look what they did here. Look what they did here. Oh, interesting how the arrangement's different here, different there. That could be a really, really long, granular deep dive. I don't know, maybe we'll look at that in the future, but super fun. Thanks, Kev. Shout out to Kev for that recommendation. If you enjoyed that, give him a little bit of love down in the comments. Really, really cool. All right. I'll see you all in my next reactions. Thanks.